review. Review means static analysis. So it is not a question of concern because if you do it, you will have the requirements to review, not the code. Okay.
Yeah.
I know because I'm an automation engineer. And when you are automation engineer, you need to know Java. Yes, anyway, I will cover it. Because of that, I know this part of the area. Otherwise, it is not the way all the testers know. Some testers they don't know anything, and don't know anything means they are just manual testers.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
So today we will discuss the success people related to success factors. Okay. If you want to achieve success in doing reviews, what you need to keep? You need to select the right people. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the part of any process. If you want to be successful, you need to select the right people. Right people means testers. You can't go and ask the management to do the review. Yes.
Yeah.
Next is testers are valued as reviewers. So if you select the testers, there are more chance of getting a success. Participants dedicate adequate time and attention to detail. So all the reviewers, they should spend enough time so that they can understand, they can go to the attention to detail, they can understand the detail. Yes, they can pay
Yeah.
attention to the detail, what is required and how it is going to be implemented. Defects found are welcome. If you find a defect, the other person should not think that it is a criticism. People should
Okay.
appreciate it, okay, and they should be welcome. If you find a defect in the review, what happens? That means you have stopped something at the requirement phase itself, and it will take less time. If it is in future, it will take more time to fix. But if you find them in the requirement phase, it takes less time and less money to fix them. People issues and psychological aspects are dealt with. Whatever people issues you have and psychological problems, they should be dealt. As for example, two people in the same team, they might not be at good terms. Yes, some people might be having some family issue, suffering from depression, stress, or anything. So they should be dealt with. If one person is suffering and these two people are fighting, then they won't be able to pay attention to any area, and the product won't be a quality product. Yes, training given in review techniques. Each and every this is a very good. Each and every testers or each and every participants should be provided training. So whenever you get a testing job, yes, you should get enough training. Even if you work for 1 year, you might not know the whole system. Yes, if you have spent time navigating to the different areas, you will be. But when you are working, you will not have that much time to go and concentrate on other areas. Wherever you're working or what area you are working, you just concentrate on that, so that would be 100%. Yes,
Yeah.
small chunk reviews to aid concentration. You need to always review small bits so that you can concentrate and find out details of the requirements, can understand the issues and can find out the defects as well. Management support for proper reviews. The management should support the reviews. If the management comes and say that finish this work in 2 3 days, yes, then it will give unnecessary stress. The same thing happened with me. Last Friday I was told that some requirement has to go live tomorrow, so I have to finish it testing. I tested Friday, I found a bug, but that bug was not fixed. Yes, Monday I reported the bug,
Yeah.
means yesterday. but my manager was off, so I just reported to a developer, and today I reported it to the manager. Tomorrow he has to go live. It has to go live. Yes.
Yeah.
Now somebody was working, so it was working. It stopped even working at all. It was working um, randomly. Okay,
Yeah.
intermittently, I would say, but it is not working at all. So tomorrow it is go. It has to go live, but it won't go. So the management should support the reviews. They should give you enough time. Emphasize learning and process improvement. Whenever you review anything, your emphasis is to learn the system. Nobody is there, yes, and the process is nobody is there who will know A to Z navigation. When you don't know A to Z navigation, it is complicated. Yes, even though it is simple going from one page to another page, but you have to know. You should know that what is that page. Yes, as for example, you are in the kitchen, you know where is salt. But if you come to my house, will you be able to find it?
No.
Yeah, it might be a different place. Yes, salt might be the easiest way because we get similar kind of pot and everything, but some hidden stuff, even though you put it, you won't be able to see. Yeah?
Yeah.
So this should be given emphasis on learning and the processes. You might know the processes. Ticket booking system, when you want to book a ticket, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened, the ticket booking system is not, you are means you are not familiar with it. So this is the process, how actually it works, how it gets the data from the different databases. This processes we should know as well, and the training should be given. Any question so
No.
far?
No.
Okay, that this one is important now. Static typical defects discovered. If you do static analysis, we will find certain defects, typical defects. They are inefficient use of variable, inefficient use of variable. Okay, you can see my screen. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I can say.
Okay. Okay, I'm just putting learn Java online. This code demi. Okay, three W3 schools is good one, so I'm going there. So here I go to the variables. Yes, this will be a small classes in here, so it is easy to understand as well.
Mm-hmm.
Only two lines of code there. It is better I can explain in 2 lines. Okay. So this is the code you have. Yes, int x
Yeah.
equal 5, int y equals 6, and it is printing system.out.println. In a new line, it will print x plus y. So it will do addition. Okay. If you have another variable or anything, if you have missed it, yes. If you have so many variables here, this is small, so you understand. Then you are using somewhere you are not using. Then what happens? It is inconsistent, so it might be inefficient way of using. Yes. Here it's a small example, so you will be able to see this variable x is used here, this y is used here, but instead of y, if you put x plus z, what happens? Yes, inefficient way of using it. In infinite loops, you have understood the loop yesterday, but let's go to the while loop. So what is in here? Int I equals 0. I is a variable, okay? And we are using int means integer. While I less than 5. System dot out dot println, so it is going to print I plus plus. It will increment, so it will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it will reach until it reaches 5.
Yeah.
But what happens in here, if you forget I plus plus, then it will go to the in the infinite loop. It will print. Okay. If you want to do, you can click in here. Yes, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Now take it off. Run. See what happens. Oh, it is taking time. But it goes to the infinite loop. It will print. It will not stop. Even if you put I less than 5, if you could get the bigger value, and if you print it, it goes in the infinite loop, and it won't work. Yes, the same code you can execute in your. We will do it while we learn Java. Okay, it didn't print it in here because it has gone into the loop. Looks like so. It got stuck there. But it will put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 like that. Okay, unreachable code. So you are executing some code. You have a n number of lines of code, but that particular code has never been executed. Okay, so this will be executed. This will be executed. Let me give you another example, because this will give you example straight away. I'm looking for a good example which I can find it. First, let me go to Google. Yes, this is good. So what happens in here? Can you see? This code is there. Private class my stack. So it's a class name is there. This guy is using object and data provider. My stack is a variable new object. In that there is a method private void push. It is going to push, and there is a code int count. Count is a variable equals 50. While count greater than 0, my stack count, it will count my stack count minus 1. Count minus minus means it will count what happens. 50, it will start from 50. Okay, 49, 48, 47, 46, it will count. And this guy say my stack 0 equals a. But here the object is a is there. Yes, it is defined, but next private object pop return stack 0 int count 2. But here can you see there is any use of count to 0? No, 0 is object a count equal to yes and 0. And that's why what happened, this code will never be executed. This is unreachable code. Means it will never be executed because it is not coming to this stage. If I want to explain you in a terminology, uh, simple term, I can explain you that you put something in the attic. Yes, you put it there and it is staying there. You don't open it. Is it reachable? You might forget it even. Yes. So in the same manner, you are using some kind of code which you are not using at all. If you are not using, then what is the point of defining and having this code? Yes. For this, the testers, not testers, developers spend days to find the unreachable code, and they can get rid of, delete it. They have some session when they do building the software project. There they will be given some time. They go to the unreachable code and get rid of all the unreachable code. Yes. Because what is the point? As for example, another unreachable code I can give you example. We have a friend who is a millionaire, but what is he is not even helping with a single penny. Is it helpful? Are you there? Hello.
Yes, yes, I'm there.
Okay, yeah. I thought that I'm just speaking. Is it helpful? No, the person is
No.
not helping. That what is the point? He's having money. So exactly the same thing. The code is not being executed at all. It is not reaching anywhere. Then what is the point keeping the code? So unreachable code should be deleted. It should not be there in the code. Yeah. Inconsistent component module interfaces. So whenever you are using different modules, it has to be a project. So I will explain you in the live project. You will understand. So if you use inconsistent way of using, as for example, boolean bool false, boolean bool true. There's a consistent way. It's a boolean value, boolean false. Yes, it is a
Mhm.
boolean value, boolean true. But here instead of boolean true, if you put just true, is it consistent? No. So in the same way, we have to have the consistent way so that we can identify the whole project should have the standard, and we have to follow this standard. Yes. Overly complex constructs. If the structure of our project is overly complex, then it becomes very difficult to transfer the knowledge. It becomes very difficult to maintain. It becomes very difficult to understand. Yes. So as simple as possible, we have to use the code. We don't need to use unnecessary data there. Okay. Programming standards violations. Again, exactly the same thing. The company has decided the programming standards. We have to follow that standard. We should not violate it. If we violate it, then it should be tracked. So what happens in this case? We have to pay attention. Yes, that's why
Mhm.
the code review, static analysis is important, and this is the reason we have to do. If somebody has written in a different way, then what happens? We have to identify. Yes, and we have
Yeah.
to tell them this is the standard, you need to follow it. Syntax violations. Normally, whenever you are using any programming language, and if you have any syntax violations, you will get compile time error. Okay. Yes. But what happens when you are working for something and the syntax violations you have done? Normally, syntax violation is the error. So here, I hope so it works. It didn't work last time. So this the simple is a syntax violations. Can you see? I deleted it. I deleted it. This is not a proper tool, and that's one of the reasons you won't be able to see. But as soon as you put, yeah, see it has come. Can you see?
Yeah.
Syntax violation. It says straight anyway. I don't need to execute. If it is a proper tool, I don't need to execute. And I have removed it YY here. Yes, I plus plus. And that's why it goes into the loop. It nothing happens because this tool restricts certain things. Otherwise, it might crash. Okay. So as
How
soon
do
as I,
you,
yeah,
British, how do you know it is like a violation? Because we don't know what kind of, we just took off the column and also we took off the I plus plus.
yes.
How do you know it is violation?
The any programming language you learn, it has its own syntax rule. As for example, any class in Java, it has to have the main method. Okay, so
Okay.
this is the main method, and this is the variable arguments you are passing in the main method or any other uh, control, any other methods you need to do if you are passing. It's an integer I, you know it. This is greater. Then again, can you see this curly braces
Yeah, yeah.
starting? So this is curly braces when it is a method, when it is a class. As soon as I delete it, it's a syntax violation. Because
Okay.
we have the rules and regulations we will discuss when we go into the Java. Okay, so it says that reached end of the file while parsing. Yes. So even if you forget this one, public static void my class. Okay, this is a method name, but any class has to have the main method. So I'm executing, see what happens. Anyway, it has this, yes. So you can see it is still looking for the syntax in here. Let me execute with this one. And it will throw that this has to have the main method. Yes, what is it? The program compiled successfully, but main class was not found. Yes,
Mhm.
this is the violation. So here if you put main, then it will work. If anyway there is an error there, so as soon as I put main, these are all syntax rules. Okay. And when
Okay.
I do Java, I will spend one or two classes just for the syntax rule. Yes. So now it is also saying that there is what is error, but main class was not found because it is also looking for the arguments. Yes,
Yeah.
and the argument is missing. That's why it is syntax violation. Any other question?
No.
Okay. So here we have a class infinite loop. Here I have explained you. As soon as you take it off, it goes into the loop and it is not printing anything else. So another example we have x equal to 20, x greater than 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 1, 2, 3 up to 19, yes, print x. But print x is greater than 0. So what is z greater than 0? Any value is greater than 0, yes. 1, 2, 3, infinite. So if you execute this code will execute for the lifetime, it will never end. Let's execute it, okay? See what happens. Why I have deleted this bit? Because I have the class name main, the main method is there. So let me put string and args means argument. Here I am going to pass x, int x equals 20. Okay, so the value of x is 20 while x system. Okay, I need to write it system dot out print ln. And what I'm printing in here? X.
Yeah.
Okay, see what happens with this. It will go into the infinite loop. Oh, there's an error. Simply just make it this way then. So here you say that major error cannot found symbol X. So okay, yeah. What mistake I made? Can you see? Uh, because this is not a code and that's why. But once I put lowercase x and another time I'm putting this is not a tool, so this is capital. So you can see how many errors I have made, and that was these are not intentional because I was just typing and saying. So if you put x here uppercase or lowercase here, it is an x for you, but this is not an x, it is a different variable. You can see it went
Yeah.
into the loop, yes, so it didn't print anything. As I'm habitual print typing while, so I put capital Y, yes,
Yeah.
W.
Yeah.
So it is an error as well. If if I put here capital X, what does this mean?
Error.
Yeah, not error. This is a different value, so it will not print anything. So this variable, this it's Java is a case sensitive language. So everything should match. So anyway, this is not a proper compiler tool. It is just they have punched it together. So here you can see it. But what we need to do in future is we will download Eclipse and we use Eclipse. You can straight away find out these kind of errors. Okay, so there is you can go to the another slide, and here there is an unreachable code. So there is a condition. If you are over 17, then you can drive. If you are under 17, then it ends it, yes.
Yeah.
But again, the same question is asked if you are over 16. What is the point asking that question? Yes, because if you are under 17, that covers everything, 16 or under 16. Yes, so if you are over 16, the else statement will never get executed, and that's why it is known as unreachable code. Why? Because you say that, okay, can you give me 100 pound? Yes, I say, you say no. Then what is the point if I ask you, can you give me 50 pounds? Yes, it covers anything. So you say that, do you have 100 pound? Do you have over 100 pounds? You say no. Then what is the point I ask you, do you have under 50 pounds? Yes, yes. Because this particular statement has been executed and done and dusted. No means no. If I say, do you have less than 100 pound? Yeah, more than 100 pound. You say no. What is the point I ask you? If we ask this kind of questions, we can ask in what case we ask. If you want to really ask someone money, if you say, give me 20 pound, you say, no, no, no. Do you have 10 pound? Just give me 10 pound. Yes. But in the programming language, it doesn't work like that. If you say no, means no. If you don't want to help someone, it is not helping. If you don't have money, then what is the point asking in a different way? Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the end of this chapter. Any question?
No.
Okay, let's start with test management. What is test management? Test management is managing the test activities. You have good quality testers. Yes, they're expert, they are experienced. You have expert developers, they're experienced. You have good tools, you spend so much. But what if you don't manage? Your project might get derailed. Yes,
Mhm.
because these expert people, what simple way, if they are not working, then what happens? If they, yes, even though they are expert, they have to understand the properly. If they don't understand the requirement properly, what happens? Yes, so we have to understand this fully. And how we can understand it? We have to plan it properly. What time this schedule one would be done? Test execution time, test case design time, test data design time, who will do what? Yes.
Yes.
So let's go to the first subtopic, which is called test independence. What is test independence? As we previously discussed in not in detail, if you have the knowledge, if you know it, you we are both friends, yes, and you are developing and I'm testing. I will find less defects. That means we have less independence. So no independence developer test own code. If the person, the developer who wrote the code, if the same person is testing, there won't be any independence because the same person will not find any defect. Yes,
Mhm.
because this is the person's understand. If I don't know how to write 1 to 10, if I write 0, 1, 5, 10, 11, 20, 10, if I have to mark the same thing, what will I say? Because I don't know, this is my understanding, so I will mark it correct. Yes, so that's why the person who writes the code has no independence. Test then. Independent testers within the development teams. There is more independence if we have testers in the development team. But what happens? The developers and testers, they know one another, yes. And as a result, what happens? There is less independence. Yes, they become friends. They are all friends. Testers, developers. Yes, they might be one group. So there will be more independence, but less independence. More independent than the developer who tests the code, but other than other restriction. Independent test team or group within the organization. If you are in the same organization but you have an independent team, then you have more independence than the about two. Yes, but at the same time, you will be friendly, familiar with these people. You know the structure, organization, policy, and everything. So you lose independence. Sometimes you know the processes. You know, sometimes we call it workaround. Yes.
Hmm.
So this workaround restrict you to find defects. Independent testers from the business organization or user community. If you have independent testers from a user community, from other business organizations, then it has more independence than the other because they can find unique defects than the above three. Independent test specialists for specific test types. Now you have specialist testers like we are specialist testers, usability, security, certification testers. They find unique and more defects than the above four. Independent testers outsource or external to the organization. But if you have given work to the third party, if we have outsourced the project, then they have the most independent because they don't know anything about the organization. Yes, they know only one thing, what this is the requirement and this is what they are expecting. They don't know the tester, they don't know the developer, what is the internal structure, what is the policy, what are the processes. They don't know anything. What they know, only the requirements and what they expect, and that's why they find more and unique defects than all other people. Any question?
No.
What are the benefits of independent testing? So what are independent testers see other and different defects? More and more independent testers we have, we find unique and different defects. As for example, you know processes, then if it doesn't work, then what you say? There is a workaround, and you will go and you sometimes talk to the developer, and the developer, no, this is not the way, this is how you need to do it. Then you will start listening to the developer and you will say, okay, this is the way the processes should be done. Yes,
Hmm.
independent testers are run by, there is no prejudice. Yes, there is no friendship, there is no other meaning. So you will find there is no prejudice. You will find unique defects. Independent testers can verify same assumptions made. If you are an independent tester and working uniquely, and if you find some defects, certain type of defects, then you say this is because of this assumption, they have applied this logic, and this is how they made a defect. Yes, during specification, during implementation, you can say what assumptions they might have made while they understood the requirement, because based on the requirements there might be a different understanding, and you might have a different correct understanding as a tester. Then you say, okay, this is the dual meaning, so they might have thought this one, and this is why they developed it, this is how they have implemented it. But there are potential drawbacks as well. What are the isolation from the development team? You don't know the developers, you are isolated from the develop, so you don't know the development process. It sometimes you get bored just testing exactly the same thing. What is exactly happening in the development? You don't know. Yes, developers may lose a sense of responsibility for quality. You don't know the developer, and the developers don't know you. Then what happens? They will say, okay, whoever tests, who cares? Yes, sometimes you know the developer, and sometimes they feel, okay, this guy will find some defects, so let's pay attention and develop it. But if the person doesn't know the third party, then say, okay, doesn't matter, just develop it quickly, no coding standard or anything. If it comes back, I will look. Yes, there is no sense of responsibility. Independent testers may be seen as a bottleneck or blamed for delays in release. If you are independent testers, if something goes wrong, because you identify so many defects, sometimes they will reject it. Yes, in that case, if anything happens, it is the tester's fault. Yes, because the testers are not testing correctly, they are finding just false call. Yes, they are not actual. So anything goes wrong, if the release is delay, there is a blame that because of the testers didn't test in time, lacking important information. They can also say that the testers, they don't have correct information about the requirements, and sometimes it also happens lack of communication. So as a tester, you don't have correct information, and you will waste so much time testing the requirement. If you are independent working in a differently, there will always be lack of communication. Yes, but if you work as a develop with the developer, you can directly ask the developer. Yes.
Mhm.
Any question?
No.
Test organization. In that way, typical task of a test leader, we will discuss subtopic. What are the tasks we have to face as a test leader? What are the roles and responsibilities? Yes, coordinate the test strategy and plan. If you are a test leader, means a manager, you need to coordinate the strategy and the plan with project manager and with the project manager or with the testers and senior teams. You need to prepare means strategy and plan. It is not the one person's work, you need to share. It's 1 year project, 2 years project, everything should be planned, and that responsibility goes to test manager, not testers. If you put in the CV that you are planning something, then they can cross check it. But if you say that individual level, then they can ask what individual level. Then you can say, if I'm allocated 20 test cases a day, what time and I plan so I don't leave any test case unexecuted left. Yes, write or review the test policy for the organization. As a test manager or leader, the person will write test policy document, a test strategy for the project, how these test cases will be executed, what are the test plans, and everything will be done at the project level by test manager. Contribute the testing perspective to other project activities such as integration planning. So as the test manager, what happens, the test manager has to contribute and understand how this integration should work. Yes, he is the leader, and that's why most of the time the leader is the word used, is the leading person. Let tell you, okay, the how these components are integrated, how the systems are integrated, what are the factors we have to keep in mind. It is the test manager's responsibility. Plan the test. The test manager will plan the test cases. Okay, so and so person write test cases for this area, so and so person will write test cases for another area. Who will execute? Yes,
Mhm.
initiate the specification. The test manager is to start understanding the specification. Start reviewing, or understanding covers everything. Analyzing the requirements. Preparation. He has to prepare. Test manager has to prepare. Implementation. This person will prepare implementation strategy. How the test plan will be implemented, and the execution of test cases. When these test cases are executed, who will execute what? Monitor the test results and check exit criteria. As a test manager, you need to ask each and every individual to report the progress. Yes, test cases are there. They have executed the test cases. They have recorded the results, but it is the test manager's responsibility to monitor them. Why? Because some test cases might have failed, but in error, the tester might have passed it. Yes.
Mhm.
So these are the responsibilities of a test leader so far. Adapt planning based on the test results and progress. If anything goes wrong, yes, then the manager's responsibility is to adapt planning. If you are lacking behind and another person is executing more, then you have to manage. As a manager, he has to manage the workload based on the progress. Sometimes you are given targets of 4 weeks, but if you are unable to achieve that work, then you have to adjust the deadline. Yes, or you have to adjust the way it can be done. You can, if you have so many test cases, you can automate them. Sometimes you can prioritize what test cases based on the risk and execute them. Take action necessary to compensate for problems. If there are problems and if you have wasted some time, then it is the manager's responsibility to take necessary actions. Reshuffle the schedule in simple way. Yes, set up adequate configuration management of testware for traceability. It is the manager's responsibility to manage the configuration management. What happens in configuration management, I explain you, so that we can have the proper traceability. You know the traceability, yes? And what is configuration management? Let me explain you. When you build a tool, yes, means you are building a software. Do you think that you have started and finished exactly what you want? No.
Mm.
As for example, I ask you to write the test cases from some of the requirements. Do I expect exactly the same? I gave you write 100 test cases. You wrote it and I finalized. Is it like that? No. What happens in that case? You wrote something and saved it. Then you made a change. Then you saved as a different version. Yes. Then somebody identified and you have to make change again. Then when you make a change again, what happens? You have to change as a different version. So configuration management is managing version control. The software you release it, it is version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5, version 6, like that. In the same manner, you will have the test case version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in what version you find what defect? So you need to configure in a way, you need to manage the configuration management. So in future, if somebody says that there is an issue in this version, you should be able to identify. You see, set up adequate configuration management of testware for traceability. So you can trace literally everything. Yes, based on
Yeah.
the release notes, based on the version, you will have the release notes. So based on the release notes, you 1, 2, 3 like release notes. Everything you stored by version. Introduce suitable metrics. You need to introduce suitable metrics for test progress. How much test progress we have done? So how many test cases we have, how many test cases executed, how many requirements are there, how many requirements cover. The reporting means evaluating the quality of the testing and the product. It is the manager's responsibility to evaluate the quality of the testing. That doesn't mean that you have test cases and you execute, you will identify the defects. Yes, it's a manager's responsibility to maintain the quality. What if you are not executing the test cases correctly, not in correct sequence? What if the test cases are faulty? Everything is the manager's responsibility. Yes,
Yeah.
decide what to automate and to what degree. The manager's responsibility to decide what features are automated and at what level, degree means. Yeah, select tools to support testing. What tool we have to use in the testing support? That will be the managers, but the manager will assign you the task to do the research, find out how many tools are available, paid tools, license, paid means license tools, and free tools. And when you give this report, you find all the details. Is the manager who decides it, decide about the implementation of the test environment. You have the list of environments, but how it should be implemented, how it should be deployed, it is the manager's decision, manager's call. Write test progress and summary reports. You provide information to the test manager. Based on that information, the test manager will write test summary report, and the test manager will provide this report to the stakeholders. Based on that, the stakeholders make decisions. Any question?
No.
What are the role of a test leader? This so far we have discussed are the test responsibilities. Yes, the leader's responsibility. Who can perform the role of a test leader? Anyone. If the manager is off, you are a tester and you are given the responsibility and you are performing the task or responsibility of a tester, then you will be a test manager. So it could be project manager, it could be a quality manager, it could be a development manager, or it could be a manager of a test group. Sometimes in different organizations, they are also known, test leaders are also known as test manager or test coordinator. Yes.
Yep.
But normally what happens in most of the organization, these are the terminologies, but sometimes you have a team leader, yes, team manager.
Yep.
Test teams manager is mostly known as team lead. Then this person will report it to the higher manager, who that person might be managing 2 3 teams. Okay, so that
Mhm.
might be, so this is the terminology. In sometimes, if you are managing a team, you will be known as test coordinator, but you are reporting someone, that someone can be a test manager. Squad lead, yes,
Mhm.
we have called prime developers, prime testers, we call them, because they do development work as well and manage a team. If you are a tester and managing a team, then you will be a prime tester in my. So it could be that you are managing a team as well and you have the responsibility to do carry on testing activities as well. You have two roles. Yes. Any
Mhm.
question?
No.
Let's go to the responsibilities of a tester. So if you get a tester job, what responsibilities you will have? Yes. Review and contribute to the test plan. So the manager has prepared the test plan. As a tester, it would be your responsibility to review the test plan. If the manager comes and say, okay, you help me preparing the test plan, then you end up preparing it. Okay, helping the manager. Or sometimes you will prepare and the manager will review and finalize. It depends on how, but you are there to provide support. Review user requirements. This is static analysis. Specifications means requirements and models for testability. What type of model we are using? So can we can analyze these requirements are testable or not. Create test specifications. Business specifications and test specifications, they are two different things. Okay, test specification talks about how the testing should be done, all your testing activities. Yes, so you need to create a test specification document as a tester. How you will execute, what are the scenarios you will cover, what you will prepare, implementation, how you will execute, what are the test data rules, what are the test sets rules, etc., etc. Set up the test environment. As a tester, you will set up the environment. Coordinate with system administrator, coordinating with network management. When you have to set up the test environment for a bigger organization, it would be simple. Sometimes you need to download some of the tools. You might be coordinate with the network management team. So the network management team, they manages the whole organization's network. So there might be that firewall restrictions. So you need to coordinate as well. Yes. Prepare and acquire test data. As a tester, you need to prepare the test data and also you need to acquire the test data. For some of the conditions you are testing, it becomes so complicated to prepare the test data. In that case, you can go to the business, yes, and ask them to provide you the test data. They will give you actual, because there are some conditions, some data. As for example, whatever I do, I can prepare all my test data myself, but some conditions there. For those conditions, you need to go and ask someone from the live environment. As for example, I give you, you have a house with 2 meters gas and electricity, and you have the solar panels, and in solar panels you have certain type of tariff. Is it possible for you to prepare this kind of test data? No. So you need to go and ask someone. As for example, if you are testing some uh, scenarios, as for example mortgage calculator, and you are testing that the person has over 1 million pounds property, paid this much deposit, the monthly installment is this much paid, this much overpayment is done. Now the person is changing the, what is this called, the term, yes, or yes, mortgage deal, yes, use. Will you be able to find out with this condition? Complicated. So in that case, what happens? You need to go and ask the person, give us the test data. So that's why I say prepare and acquire. If you can't prepare, then go and ask someone, acquire the test data. Implement tests at all levels. Whatever level of testing you need to do, you need to implement the test, like execute and log tests. You need to execute the test cases and log the results. Evaluate results. Now we have logged the results, pass and fail. That's not enough. That's not enough. You need to evaluate it and isolate a bug if it is possible. If it is passing, then also you need to evaluate and it is correctly passing. Document deviations from the expected. If deviation is there, any difference is there, then the expected result, then make record it. A documents means record it. Use test tools as required. Based on the specification, based on the usage of the tools, you need to use test tools like test administration, test management, and test monitoring. You need to do all the things. Administer the tool, manage the test cases, and the monitor. As for example, if you don't know how to use a tool, then it will be what. That's why use test tools as required. As per the specification, you need to use it. Automate tests possibly with support. If you are an automation engineer, you will be asked to automate some test cases, possibly with support developers or the test automation expert. You are a junior level or you are an automation engineer, you might not be an expert, yes. In that case, you ask developer to help you or automation expert to help is required. Measure performance of components and systems. You need to measure the performance of the system itself or how the components. If you have any issue, you raise as a defect, yes. You need to raise this. Review test developed by others. You are a tester and I am a tester. Then in that case, we have to review one another's test cases. This is your understanding. This is my understanding. So I might have made a mistake. You might have made a mistake. So we have to review one another's or each other's test cases based on the team size and accordingly give the feedback. Any question? So the next part is the fundamental test process. What are the fundamental test process? As we previously discussed, the fundamental test processes are test planning, monitoring and control, test analysis and design, test implementation and execution, and completion. In this case, we will discuss test planning and estimating. What is plan? We know that, as for example, nothing works without the plan, yes. As for example, you are going on holidays somewhere. Whatever things or whatever requirements are there, you need to make a note of everything. Yes, and you do this. This is your plan. If you execute it, so first, what are the tasks you have to do as a test in test planning? Determining the test scope, risks, and objectives. So you have the requirements. Yes. In that requirement, based on the requirements, you need to decide the scope. What is scope means? What you can test it and what you cannot test it. There is also scope you design in this way. Scope means if the software, the requirements are built and delivered. Yes, if some of the requirements are not delivered, they are out of scope. It will be covered somewhere else. If some software's requirements are delivered, but if it is done by the different team, then that would be out of scope. What to test? It's scope. Yes. Risks. What are the risks you are going to face building this application? You need to determine by analysis, analyzing the requirements. And then you need to set the objectives, what you want to achieve at the end of testing activity. Yes, determine the test approach. So manager will decide what approach we are going to, means how we will execute the test cases. Approach means, yes, how, whatever answers how defines the approach. Definition of test levels. Yes, what are the levels we have, how we are going to execute the test cases, mean this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3, something like that. Yeah, definition of test levels. Whatever levels of test cases you are doing, we need to define them. Entry and exit criteria for each level. If we have multiple test levels, then we have to set the entry criteria and exit criteria for the specific test level. Integrate and coordinate testing with development life cycle activities. So our testing activities should be done exactly the same way the development activities is done. If the development activities we model, then accordingly our testing activity should be done. If it is agile models, one of the agile models, then accordingly it will be done. Yes, making decisions about what to test. The test in planning, we will make decisions what we are going to test. Who will perform the test activity? Who will do what? As I said, yes. How activities should be done? How it will be done? Schedule wise, sequence wise, how results should be evaluated. When you get the test results, we have to evaluate the results as well. But how we will evaluate the result? That should be stored in the test planning and discuss as well. Scheduling activities. When we are going to do analysis and design, implementation, execution, and evaluation. What is the what are the implementation ways or implementations approach in planning we are doing? Based on this, our coding standards and everything different. Forget about this development. Based on this, we will decide how we are going to execute the manual test cases. Based on this, we will decide how our scripting will based on, yes, if we are automating execution, how we will execute the test cases and evaluate the results. Assigning resources to different activities defined. If we are to do some extra activities other than the testing, then we have to plan for this as well. As for example, when you go to work, you start it. Is it that you will only execute the test cases from the beginning to end of the day? Is it that you will analyze the requirements from the beginning or end of the day? You might have something else. Sometimes the system doesn't work. Sometimes you have to complete some of the courses. Sometimes you need to do some other activities. Yes, these things you need to keep in mind and discuss in test planning. Defining the test documentation. What level of documents we need? We will decide the amount, how much documents we need. What level of detail. How much detail we will give in these documents. Structure and templates. What structure we are going to use? What are the templates we are going to use? We will discuss here. This is a very good example of template. As for example, you don't know how to write the test cases and you get a job. Will you have struggle? Yes or no? Hello? Will you struggle? No. I say you will have the structure and template. So you will be provided structure how you are going. This is the structure of the test case design. And the manager will give you this is the template of the test case. Okay. I explain you this one in detail so you will understand. The template is these are the wording you need to use when you design the test cases. Yes. In that box everything fill everything will be given, and structure means if you have certain level of requirement you need to cover this you have the tick check box. Yes, you need to cover this and then design the test cases. Then if you just blindly follow this, your test 80% test cases would be correct. Yes, if you just follow the template and structure, 80% test cases would be correct because these templates covers everything. Understood? Selecting matrix for monitoring and control. Now we have to decide what matrix we are going to use so we can monitor our testing activity and control it, like test preparation, how much time we are spending, test case execution, how many test case we have executed, defect resolution, how many defects are there, how many fixed, risk issues, what any risk related details should be discussed in the planning. Setting level of detail for test procedure for repeatability. Setting level of detail for test procedures for repeatability. If these test cases have to be repeated over and over again, then we have to set the level, how many times and how much this repetition would occur. Yes, any question? Now let's discuss, this is last and we will stop for a day. Okay, when we prepare a test plan, now you are a new manager, not you are a manager, you are a new person, and if you are asked to write test plan, do you struggle it? You say yes, but no, because there will be a template how to write a test plan for that organization. Okay, in that plan the structure would be there as well, so you can just copy and paste. I have prepared a test plan for my website. I must be having somewhere, I will share you. So test plan identifier. First thing, you need to have an ID so you can identify the specific test plan. Introduction, you need to have the introduction, what project plan it is. Yes, at what level plan, what exact plan. Yes, features to be tested, what you are going to test, you need to mention all the features no, not to be tested. You have a section where you are going to these features one by one, you will say you are not going to test, and you need to explain why you are not going to test these things. Feature to be tested and features not to be tested will come scope and out of scope. I have said one requirement document, if you have read it you will find this. Approach, what approach we are going to use, what are the test cases level, and everything will be there. Yes, how we will design the test cases, how we will prepare, how we will execute it. Item pass fail criteria, what considers the test case pass and fail, you need to define exactly. Suspension criteria and resumption requirements, in case you have to suspend your testing activities, in what conditions you are going to suspend, you need to define them. Now you have to restart because you have suspended. What conditions are there? If you meet these conditions, you will start retesting. Yes, means you resume your testing activities. Test deliverables. What are the things, everything, whatever you deliver in testing, they are all deliverables. So you need to mention all the deliverables. Test plan is a deliverable. Test policy document is a deliverable. Test strategy document is a deliverable. The product itself is the biggest deliverable. Yeah, the product test case is a deliverable. Test data deliverables. Whatever you produce during the project, they are all deliverables for you. Environmental needs, what you need to test the specific, the version stuff, everything, the tools and everything, their environment need, you need to mention in the plan. Yes. Staffing and training needs, how many people you need as a developers, how many people you need as a tester. Here we are talking about test plan, so it is how many testers you need. If they're the new testers, if we are there from the different domain experience, then how much training we are going to provide. Yes. Responsibilities, we have to allocate roles and responsibilities. What is the responsibility we need to discuss in here. Schedule, the time, execution time, preparation time and everything. The timetable. Risks and contingencies, if we are facing any risks, project risk and product risks, then how we can meet them, what are the contingency plans to mitigate them. Yes. Approvals, and what are the approval criteria, everything we have to have in the test plan. Not everything we have to have, based on the company policy we can cover these things in a test plan. If you cover these things in a test plan, do you think that your test plan have more defects? No, actually you are covering. Yes, line by line you are putting. Yes. Do you have any question? Okay, let's discuss the entry criteria and exit criteria. In test plan outline, what could be there? So first thing, master test plan. Yes, you might be doing different levels of testing. Yes, but overall you have a plan that is known as master test plan for the project test plan you can call it. In this you need to say definition of test levels, what levels of testing you are going to do, you need to define them. Responsibilities for each test level, you need to define. Entry criteria and exit criteria for each test level, you need to define in detail. So what are these entry criteria? Define when to start testing. What is exit criteria? Define when to stop testing. So in master test plan, you can have, if you are doing some levels of testing, so there can be some levels of testing like component level. For component level, you have the component test plan. Yes. For integration level, means component integration level, then you have the component integration test plan. For that you have to define all these activities whatever we have discussed in the previous slide. For the system testing, you have to have the system test plan, and you have to all the roles and tasks and responsibilities, everything whatever we discuss in the plan outline, it should be. If you are integrating two systems, for that we have to have the system integration test plans. In this plan we have all these activities related to the specific test plan. And we can have the last level is the acceptance test plan. In the acceptance test plan, we will discuss each and every activity we need to do for accepting the system. We have to mention this in acceptance test plan. Any question? Do you want to stop it or carry on? Let's carry on. Now let's stop it. It's like 4 slides there for test planning and control. Then it will be too much for you today. I went little bit faster, I know, but You just need to have the overview. Yes, but if you still think I'm going little bit faster, let me know, because yeah. Yes, the manager will like top management, the project management team, they will write everything and they will provide you. But if you go into that, the test manager will decide most of the thing for the specific thing. In the project team you have the test. Yes, for the test manager, he will get all the information, she will get all information from the stakeholders, and based on the previous projects and based on the type of the project, these all documents are prepared and given. For that they have the consultants, so the consultants are there to guide them. So what happens, I explain you.